Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at email in Python and specifically how you can send emails in Python. And we are no longer at a stage where you use pigeons to transfer emails, but I think using Pythons instead would be quite cool. So the main thing we're going to be looking at is this email module, which is for email and MIME. And it's for managing email messages, not for sending messages, and we'll actually have a look at how we're going to do that. And we use SMTP which stands for Simple Message Transfer Protocol, and it's for connecting to an SMTP server and then running commands to send emails. And so this protocol is an internet standard communication protocol, a bit like HTTP and HTTPS, except that it's for emails instead of web pages. And the majority of mail servers will use SMTP. Then there's email.mime, and this is a module for creating MIME objects. And even though it's becoming legacy, it's still a very useful module to use and know. And MIME is multi-part internet mail extensions, so it's a way for sending messages that don't just contain text in ASCII, but also HTML, audio, video, PDF attachments, whatever really. And you can have multiple parts, which we'll also have a look at. Then we have our MIME base class, which is a base class, and it says usually you don't create instances, but we actually will be doing this, and it's there for you to then have subclasses, which is quite common in Python modules. And then there's the MIME multipart, which is a subclass for creating multi-part messages. And MIME text, which is a subclass of MIME multipart, which is a single thing, so that you can have just text, whether that's plain text or whether you add HTML formatting as well. So the first thing we need to do is import a whole bunch of stuff, because email isn't that simple. And most of them are from email.mime. So from the multipart module, we want to import MIME multipart. From the text module, we want to import MIME text. And from the base module, we want to import MIME base. We also want to import encoders. And then from SMTPlib, we want to import SMTP. Then from pathlib, we want to import path, and we want to import JSON. And that's all the imports. The other thing is I'm using this settings.json file, and our settings are going to be json.load file. And you don't get to see this file because it's got my email passwords in. But if we need a message, we want to send a message. And so what I've done is I've written this message in Outlook, and I've right-clicked and clicked Inspect Source, and it's given me the source back. And I've changed some of the links to the images so they have web links, which means that you can download them when you send them, because otherwise it doesn't work. And we can actually look at that, and it looks like this. So let's start by creating a message. And we're going to actually have our message fully created before we even log into the server, which is a better way of doing things than logging in, creating your message, and then going from there. And we need to set the from, and this is going to be the username. The to is going to be the receiver, and then the subject is going to be Python test email. Then we want to open this file that we've got our email in, and I want to set the encoding equal to UTF-8 because I might have non-ASCII characters, and I'm going to attach this to my message. And I want to set it as HTML. And what you can do is you can attach both the HTML and the plain text if you're not using HTML. And then the idea is if the HTML fails, it will default to the plain text. But I kind of know that the receiver email supports HTML. Then we log into the server, or at least we connect first, and we say the host is server, which I've got in my settings, and the port is the settings port, and this is S, a bit like when we were creating sockets. And then I want to start TLS because this is what we're using for security before I log in and send my username and password across the internet. And then finally, we send the message. So we've created our message here, which has a from and to a subject. You can add things like CCs and BCCs and a few other attributes if you want. And then we've opened our email and attached it as text, connected to the server, logged in. It is possible that this fails if you put in the wrong server details or username and password, and then we send our message. Then I can run this. I can see that the email has arrived successfully, which is nice to see. But one of the most common things people do is they add attachments. So we might say that if there's an attachment in the settings.keys, so we decide to include one, then first thing we need is a MIME base, and this is going to have an application that's going to be set to octet stream. Then we need to open that file that we're attaching, and we want to attach the bytes no matter what format it is. We've set the encoding, set the payload to the value of the file. Then want to encode it, and we encode this part. And then we want to add a header, and it's called content disposition, and its value is attachment file name equals, and then we put the path of the attachment dot name, and then we attach our part to our message. And now when we send it, I can see that an email has come through with an attachment, which is very good to see. So you can see that in just a few lines of code, we can log into our email server and send a message, and of course it will be fewer if our attachments were all compressed, if our imports were all and of course it will be fewer if our imports were all compressed. So you can see it's very simple to send emails, even though there's a lot of fairly complex stuff happening underneath. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. You will use this in the future, not for sending unsolicited emails, but for automating a few emails that you might need to send weekly. You can even use this as a template if you don't want to remember all the steps. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again same time next week. Till then.